Right now, as you're listening to this, you're doing something, well, miraculous. You're breathing. It's so constant, so automatic, that we almost never give it a second thought. But there's this incredible journey happening with every single inhale and exhale.
And it's not just something we do, it's something we absolutely need. Every single cell in your body is depending on this relentless cycle. I mean, think about this quote: 2 weeks without food, 2 days without water, but only 2 minutes without air. That's not an exaggeration, folks. It is the most urgent requirement for life itself.
So, have you ever actually stopped to follow one of those breaths? I mean, really follow it. From the second the air comes into your nose, all the way to the moment it fuels a tiny cell. And then its whole return trip back out into the world. It's this epic, unseen journey, and today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to trace every single step.
All right, so let's think of a single breath of air as our hero for this story. It's on this incredible quest through the maze inside your body. And its mission? To deliver life-giving oxygen and haul out the toxic waste. It's basically your body's most essential, nonstop delivery service. Okay, so every great journey has to start somewhere, right? For our breath, that first step is crossing the threshold from the outside world right into your body. But it can't just barge in. No way. It has to be properly prepared for this super delicate environment it's about to enter, your lungs. So here's the route map. Our breath starts its adventure at the main entry points, your nose or your mouth. From there, it takes a plunge down the pharynx, that's your throat, cruises past the larynx or voice box, and dives into the trachea. You probably know it as the windpipe. And this is where it gets wild. The path splits, like a highway turning into a massive network of smaller and smaller roads, all leading to the final destination, these tiny little air sacs called the alveoli. But wait, before the air even gets deep inside, it has to go through this super sophisticated, built-in air conditioning system. I'm not kidding. In just a fraction of a second, it gets warmed up to your body temperature. Moisture is added to protect all that delicate tissue, and it gets filtered by tiny hairs and mucus. All that dust, pollen, and nasty germs, trapped. It's incredible. And that branching network we talked about, it's often called the bronchial tree, and it's easy to see why. It looks exactly like an upside-down tree. The trachea is the main trunk, which then splits into these big branches called bronchi, and those split into thousands of teeny tiny little twigs, the bronchioles. It's this super efficient design to guide the air deep, deep into the lungs. And here we are. Our little breath of air has finally reached the end of the line. These millions of tiny air sacs, the alveoli. This is it. This is the climax of the whole journey. The entire reason for this trip is about to happen right here. It's time for the great gas exchange. Now, for this exchange to work really, really well, you need a huge surface area. And your lungs? Oh, they deliver. Get this. Packed inside your chest, you have a surface area of about half a tennis court. Half a tennis court. It's all thanks to the 300 million or so of these little alveoli. I mean, that is an incredible feat of biological engineering, just maximizing every little bit of space for this exchange to happen. So how does this magical exchange actually happen? Well, it's not magic at all. It's driven by a really simple, elegant law of physics. All it means is that gases naturally want to move from an area where there's a lot of them, high pressure, to an area where there's not so much, low pressure. Your body doesn't even need to use any energy. It's like a ball rolling downhill. It just happens.
Let's look at how this works in practice. The air that just arrived in your lungs is packed with oxygen, right? So that's high oxygen pressure. Meanwhile, the blood showing up from the rest of your body is oxygen poor, so low pressure. What happens? Oxygen naturally flows from the lungs right into the blood. At the exact same time, the opposite is happening with carbon dioxide. The blood is full of CO2 waste, high pressure, and the lungs are low, so CO2 flows out of the blood and into the lungs. It's a perfect passive swap. Okay, mission accomplished, right? The oxygen has made it into the bloodstream. But hold on, its journey is far from over. Now it has to get to every single tissue in your body. It's about to embark on a whole new voyage through the massive highway system of your circulatory system. But there's a bit of a problem. Oxygen, it turns out, doesn't dissolve very well in blood, kind of like oil in water. Only about 1.5% of it can actually travel freely in the plasma. So for the other 98.5%, it needs a ride, a specialized transport vehicle to get where it's going. And that vehicle? The taxi has arrived. It's the red blood cell. And more specifically, it's a protein packed inside called hemoglobin. Just think of each red blood cell as a special delivery truck, and hemoglobin molecules are like the perfectly shaped seats inside, designed to carry that precious oxygen cargo.
And hemoglobin is crazy efficient at picking up oxygen. It's because of a cool process called cooperative binding. Imagine a group of friends trying to squeeze into a car. Once that first person gets in and settles, it somehow makes it easier for everyone else to pile in. That's kind of what happens here. The first oxygen molecule binds, and it actually changes hemoglobin's shape, which makes it way easier for the next three to latch on. Boom. It gets fully loaded with oxygen in an instant.
Okay, so if hemoglobin is so good at grabbing oxygen, how does it know where to let go? That's where something called the Bohr effect comes in. It's genius. Think about a muscle you're using right now. It's getting warmer, it's producing more CO2, and that makes it slightly more acidic. All of those things are signals, like a flashing neon sign, that tell hemoglobin, hey, drop the oxygen here. This is where it's needed most. It's a brilliant, self-regulating, smart delivery system. And with that, we've arrived. The final destination, the body's tissues. Right here, our oxygen's mission is finally fulfilled. But as one journey ends, another begins. It's time for the return trip, and the star of this leg of the journey is carbon dioxide.
This last step is called internal respiration. And guess what? It's driven by one last pressure gradient. Oxygen leaves the blood and just diffuses right into your body's cells. And inside those cells, in the little powerhouses called mitochondria, it's used to make ATP. That's the actual energy currency that powers everything you do, from thinking a thought to lifting your finger. This was the ultimate goal of the entire journey. Now, as those cells are making all that useful energy, they're also creating a waste product, carbon dioxide. And you gotta get that stuff out. So, to get it back to the lungs, the body uses a few different tactics. A tiny bit just dissolves in the blood. Some of it hitches a ride back on that same hemoglobin. But the vast majority, we're talking like 70 to 85%, is cleverly disguised. It gets converted into something called bicarbonate for the return trip. And this is how your body manages to haul away so much CO2. Inside the red blood cells, there's an enzyme that super quickly converts the CO2 into bicarbonate. Then, that bicarbonate is moved out into the plasma. And to keep things balanced, a chloride ion is moved in. It's called the chloride shift, and it is a really clever biochemical trick that lets the blood carry huge amounts of waste without becoming dangerously acidic. So this CO2-rich blood makes its way back to the lungs, and what happens? Everything we just talked about happens in reverse. The bicarbonate turns back into CO2, it diffuses from the blood back into those alveoli, and then as your diaphragm relaxes, your chest cavity gets smaller, and the breath is exhaled. The journey is complete, and the path is cleared for the very next one to begin, just a second or two later.
You know, when you step back, you see the bigger picture. This whole journey of a single breath is part of a constant, beautiful dance with your heart. Did you know your heart rate actually speeds up just a little bit when you inhale and slows down when you exhale? It's this perfectly synchronized, life-sustaining rhythm. And the amazing part is, you never, ever have to think about it.
And really, the journey of a single breath is just one of these countless, complex, elegant processes happening inside you every single moment of every single day. It kind of just leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What other incredible, unseen journeys are happening inside you right now?